Welcome to the Divorce Allies podcast. We are a team of divorce experts who help women going through divorce, whether that means they're thinking about it, they're in the thick of it, or they're transitioning to post divorce. Today's episode is all about life after divorce, rediscovering who you are, rebuilding confidence, and reimagining your next chapter, whether that's relationships, travel, business, lifestyle, or even identity. If you're navigating this chapter and craving support, you should join us inside of the Divorce Allies membership. We have weekly live circles, expert workshops, and a safe space to rebuild your next chapter with guidance. So today I have Cristin Terri. She is our divorce coach and co-parenting specialist. And Cristin, when we're talking about life after divorce, there are a lot of questions, concerns, misconceptions. A lot of the women in our membership, they're getting to this point of they've been through maybe a 10, 20-year high conflict marriage, then a 1, 2, 3-year high conflict divorce. And then all of a sudden, boom, divorce is done. Now they're transitioning to life post divorce. So, Cristin, you've been through a divorce yourself. Can you kind of tell us and walk our listeners through what you were feeling like when all of a sudden one day you were divorced and now life is just supposed to continue on?
Yeah, no, I don't think people talk about this often enough. That quiet space, that empty space where the papers are signed and you kind of feel like, now what? You feel
Mhm.
free, but you feel lost at the same time, right? It's that silence after all the chaos. And we get, especially if you've been in a high conflict marriage, a high conflict divorce, we get addicted to the drama and the conflict. And when it stops, or at least slows down, because
Mhm.
you might still have a high conflict co-parenting relationship if there's kids involved, but when that slows down, I see with my clients, they're still addicted to the drama, and I have to explain to them that's on a chemical level, because they beat themselves
Mm.
up. They're like, I can't stand him, everything he did to me was awful, but I still want to know how he's doing, or I still find myself worrying about him, or I crave it. And it's
Yeah.
because we're chemically, first of all, that was your person for 10, 15, 20 years, but also then if it was high conflict, you're chemically addicted to them. It's similar to a drug addiction on a hormonal level, or on like a chemical level, with
Yeah.
your adrenaline rushes and your dopamine hits, and then you crash and it's silent treatment or it's aggression, and you become addicted to it. So you've got to look at the space afterwards when it starts quietening down. Firstly, don't beat yourself up for wanting to, for maybe stumbling a little bit, for maybe reaching out once or twice, or for, because we all stumbled. I stumbled as well. I remember getting divorced, and I was checking in on him. Are you okay? Are you
Yeah.
coping? How? And now I look back, I'm like, oh, like I used to look back and think, oh my gosh, like why would I do that? But now I understand that I was still going through that detox phase, and I relapsed a little bit, right? You kind of relapse into that relationship a little bit, or you allow them in a little bit more, and that's okay. But what I'm wanting today is for you to recognize it.
Yeah.
Recognize that it goes so much deeper, and you are not weak or less than, or there's nothing wrong with you for going back, or for feeling that loss, or maybe wanting to reach out again. It's really difficult. Some of my clients, I tell them to go cold turkey. 90% of them fail
Right.
in the first month or two. And they fail for a while, and then they realize they just keep getting the same results. So they have to change the behavior.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, what people don't tell you about life after divorce is, I would say, that sometimes the grief can show up after the papers are signed.
Mm.
um, because you don't just lose a partner. There's community and routines and financial identity, even your own sense of self. There's loneliness if you're used to always having a person next to you, your partner next to you for weekend activities. Now you're getting invited to birthday parties and you got to go alone, or Friday nights the kids have gone to their friends and you're sitting at home, so there's loneliness. And we talk about that identity vacuum.
Yeah.
You almost kind of feel like, but I would like to flip this to you, Anna, quickly on this identity vacuum, because
Yeah.
we were discussing a little bit earlier on. So, for those of you that don't know Anna, she hasn't been divorced, but she is a pivotal part of the divorce allies in the next steps. Because I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here on a lot of women want the alimony and they fight for the child support and what's owed and what's fair, but ultimately you're relying on someone else for financial stability. So Anna's role is helping our members in the Divorce Ally Circle to start a side hustle, some sort of remote working job, create a product, start a business, how to market, so that you can get on your own feet financially as well without relying on someone else. So I want to flip this to you, Anna, that identity vacuum. Anna's
Mhm.
also an avid traveler, but tell us a little bit about how you've experienced that, and similarly to what you go through with divorce, but
Yeah.
through travel. And
Yeah, absolutely. So I have lived in, I think, 5 countries in like 7 or 8 years. I don't know the exact timing of it, but I love traveling, but I'm also a little bit addicted to those highs of you move somewhere new, everything's incredible. There's a new restaurant, a new cafe, new people, like the most interesting conversations you've ever had in your life. And it's this like high highs of this is amazing. This is so new. Getting a, posting on Instagram and getting like 20 thumbs up or people replying like, wow, your life is amazing. Like, I have to be honest, that is a great aspect of it. But then, kind of like a month or two in, you start looking around and not everything's as glamorous anymore. You're confused because you don't speak the same language, or your friends that you thought you were super close with aren't replying because you just met them at the bar 2 weeks ago. Like they're not your best friends. Or you're seeing like your real friends and family back at home all hang out together, get dinner together, laugh about jokes that have been around for 10 years. And it's this feeling of, like we said, loneliness, identity crisis, and just like not feeling like you fit. And I think that that's what a lot of our members or women going through divorce, they also feel like that. Like, well, all of my girlfriends are wives and moms. And do I have a piece in this friend group anymore if I'm divorced and I don't have a husband to talk about? And I know like it's this tricky of like, who am I now? Who am I going to become? Do I kind of revert back to old patterns? Like for me, in my instance, it's like if you travel and move abroad, you will always have the thought, should I just move back? But I think it's all mindset. And that's what really this conversation and this whole month in the Divorce Allies, our whole theme is about rewriting the script, rewiring your brain. Say that 3 times fast. Um, and it's just like, it's just perspective. And then so I can successfully say, like, you go through those patterns, those like grief and excitement months. And it's like I have it down to a science now. I can tell you month by month what you're going to feel. But now I'm in Spain. I've been here for almost 3 years officially. And it is like home. And I'm a little bit of a new person, a new identity. And I don't know what's to come, but we were just Kristen having like an off-camera conversation about it of that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of the adventure and my story and all that's to come. So I think working with our divorce members, when I work with them one-on-one, I can really empathize and we can relate with each other because I'm a single woman making my own income, living a very non-traditional life. And I think that they are able to connect with me and we can have great conversations because they're in a similar boat as me. So, Kristen, I know that
yeah,
like
and
mhm,
they might, sorry, Anna, they might even, who says after you get divorced, you can't up and go and live in another country for a year?
right?
You have that as an option now, and you don't have to speak to anyone else about this. And
Right.
what Anna mentioned there, being a single woman, this is the key to me, is relearning that independence.
Yeah.
If you've been married for 10, 20 years, Anna, you know what it's like living as a single woman or learning to. become a single woman again, how do you fix your Wi-Fi? There's a small plumbing issue. How do you do that? Or the car breaks down, or there's something wrong with the car or the engine, and you're kind of like, oh my gosh, I need to learn how to do that. And there's garden work, and there's all the roles that you didn't play in your life that your partner may have played, that now you need to relearn that independence.
Yeah.
And as scary as that can be, it's also very exciting. And I know we're talking about, rebuilding, reinventing, gaining confidence again. That is where the confidence comes in.
Mhm.
Doing those little things that scare you, like traveling across the globe, living in a few different countries, doing those little things that scare you, that put you out of your comfort zone, and then achieving them,
Yeah.
that is where you build confidence and self-trust within yourself, that you are capable and able to do this, right? You can stand on your own 2 feet and learn new skills as well.
Yeah, and I want to hop in here really quick because I think, the topic today is all about like how to rebuild, how to reinvent, how to put a new identity. And I think for me when I am faced with a lot of these things of like I don't even have a dad to call because he's 15 hours on a flight away. Like it's things I really have to kind of figure out. Um and I've been in those moments of like poor me, why can't like now of course I date and I have like but it's different like dating is different than having like someone living in the house with you like a husband. And I think that I've definitely been in those spirals of like everyone else has that person they can call, but like I don't have anyone. I have to figure it out on my own, especially when it comes to finances and like banking and all of the things that like, well, again, traditionally the whole point of the divorce allies is not to get caught into traditional roles, but traditionally men take care of the finances. Like my dad always took care of things, told me what to do with my money up until I left the house. And then only within the last few years, I've been actually making money to save, invest, and do things with. And I think instead of letting that like wear me down and overwhelm me, I have reached out, networked with amazing female financial people. Now, granted, we have Melissa, who is just like a life savior in the financial world, that she's our friend, our colleague that can help with some of these things. But being able to like network with other women who are experts in these fields and like make like a girl boss day. Like we are such advocates to like dress up, date yourself, have a little day where you put your hair slicked back, put on a little business outfit, red lips, go sit in a cafe and like figure out your finances there. Everyone else in the place will think that you're like a high power successful woman. Maybe you're sorting through debt and that's okay. No one has to know. But I think it's like all of these little things we're going to keep talking about. Make it fun, make it sensual. Cristin, please kind of go on your little tangent about in the just like making yourself feel good and sexy because I think that that is so important. Everything we should talk about should have a little bit of that in it. But yeah, I think like at every pivotal moment when you're in that kind of dark space of feeling alone and you're not sure who you are, you have two choices of letting your brain spiral or rewriting that script on like what you want it to be, what you want it to look like. So I just had to kind of
I love
go
that.
in there.
I
Yeah.
love that, Anna. And yeah, it's learning to date yourself and love yourself the way you want to be loved, right? And I'm going to get real now. Like I am a physical person. Like I love physical touch. And I struggled so much after, I mean, I've pretty much been single for 5 years because now I'm like on the other end of I'm really picky and I love my time. I love being a single mom. I don't have to answer to anyone. I get to spend all my time with my kids if I want to and soak that all up. But if you're a physical person, or maybe you're even a visual person, or maybe just not getting that dopamine hit of someone saying, "Oh, you look beautiful," because now it's just you, right? And instead of looking for that somewhere else, as women, we are more sensual beings. We are very sensual. We are connection. We are nurture. We are your senses. We are tapped in, Mother Earth, all of that. That's a little bit of my woo woo talk. But, um, you know, if you walk past the mirror today and you think, oh my gosh, I'm actually having a good hair day, say, tell yourself, your hair looks amazing today, Anna. Your wow, that dress sits so nice on your figure. Make yourself feel good. And for women, that can also be, why do women the ones that buy candles? Because our senses, it helps us feel more sensual. We're
Mm.
the ones that love a bubble bath because all of these senses are feeding. That is self-love, in my opinion. It's like, you know, feeding
Yeah.
yourself, loving yourself, taking care of yourself. When you put cream on, I know as moms, this is how we generally put cream on, but at least
In just
once a
30
week.
seconds.
Yeah, or if you even put cream on your whole body, okay? Like,
Mhm.
but at least once a week, say, okay, once a week, I am going to put a candle on, put some music on, burn some incense, dim the lights. I'm going to have a nice bath. I'm going to do an everything bath or shower. I'm going to slowly put the cream on and I'm going to tap into my senses and come back to myself, because ultimately I think that's what it is for us women is coming back to ourselves. And when we are within ourselves and we are connected to ourselves and our bodies and re-identifying what feels good to us, we become magnetic to the same frequency of
Yeah.
anything that's on the same frequency as us. So we will find more of that. And I also talk about, rebuilding these new foundations is a mindset and emotional kind of thing, right? Your
Mhm.
mindset around loving yourself and saying kinder things to yourself. Maybe you had a marriage where you could never pull that off, or oh, I don't like your hair like that, or so now you think, oh, my hair like that doesn't look good. So we've got to be conscious of our thoughts, and that's, to me, I talk about this all the time. It's why I became a meditation teacher on top of a divorce coach and co-parenting specialist. But the mind is where it starts. Our thoughts become feelings. And if you are in this space post-divorce and you are just feeling low, stuck in all the should have, could have, would have, he said that, I did this, that wasn't my proudest moment, all of that. If you're stuck there, you're going to feel you're going to feel stuck there physically as well.
Yeah.
So starting to become aware of our minds, and we do that by meditating, by training. It's a practice, by training our thoughts to focus where we want them to, by training our mind not to wander off so much. And it starts with small things like a small morning ritual, like you say, taking yourself on a coffee date in the morning or a little coffee walk, or
Yes.
exercise is huge. Exercise, getting out there, trying new things. And if you're a traveler like Anna, go travel to a new country by yourself. I did it. I
Mhm.
About 2.5 years, it was probably about 6 months actually after our divorce papers were actually signed, I took myself to Zanzibar all by myself. For those of you that don't know where Zanzibar is, go check it up. It's paradise in Africa. It's
Mm.
on a little island off of Tanzania. And I took 5 days to myself to go and reconnect, soul search, put myself completely out of my comfort zone. But when I got back, I can tell you there was a fire within me that reignited, that I just recommend it to everyone. Travel is one of the best things. And I know, as you may not have the finances right now, but that's
Yeah.
where Anna comes in again, right? Anna
Yeah.
can help you build that side hustle that brings in an extra $1,000, $2,000 that you can save towards that holiday. Um, and what are some of the, you know tips that you would give to someone going through divorce who maybe is scared to travel, maybe scared to
Yeah.
start their own business, maybe just riddled with fear out of
Sure.
the unknown?
Sure. And first note is that, of course, we're advocates of travel, but we know that divorce is a very high dollar situation. If you can't afford a big trip right now, go to the neighborhood next to you, an hour road trip. I mean, even something local can still be like, Pretend that you're a tourist from a different country, a different state coming to your city. Do things that you've always wanted to do that maybe your spouse didn't ever like. If you wanted to go to the art museum, he was like, we don't need to see that. Go out to breakfast, go to the art museum, and then go to a nice little cocktail bar. You can find things to do under, I would say, $50 to $100 a day. So that's kind of the side piece. Like everything we're saying, you can adjust it to your
Yeah.
income, your lifestyle. But I
A
think
walk in nature, a walk in nature. Find a little cabin that costs really cheap.
yes.
Save up for a cabin once a week, like maybe in 3 months' time, go for a little weekend just yourself where there's a hot tub and you read a
Oh,
book all weekend
I think
and
that's what I need this weekend.
drink wine and make and have girl dinners, cheese platters and crackers and olives. This is my favorite.
I know, I need
Yeah, I
that. I
love that,
think that's
Anna.
what's on my docket. But yeah, I think a lot of women naturally we are risk averse when it comes to specifically like when we're saying like launch your business, launch a side hustle. There is so much that goes into it. And we're not saying that it has to be done next week to start cash flowing. But I think when we're talking to our members that are going through this process, start if even if you're in the middle of the divorce right now, or maybe you haven't even filed yet and you're just thinking about it, start getting some just like creative juices flowing, right? Your ideas down. If you're an artist, start painting, start drawing, start writing. If you're someone who's been a nurse for 20 years and you're like, well, I can't, like, I don't want to work back in the hospital. I haven't worked there for 5, 10 years. Like, think about what you learned as a nurse. Think about all of the tricks and the tips you would give someone going through nursing school and write those down. And then kind of once you're past that ideation phase, just start being creative about it. Use different like ChatGPT. We always say use AI to help expand upon ideas and create projects or blogs or portfolios, whatever. And then there's also Canva, which is another application, but kind of besides going through like all of these like nitty-gritty step by step, I think just getting ideas out on paper, dreaming about it, and understanding there's nothing holding you back. You can create anything you want to. And if you're really struggling with identity right now, what better way than to become your entrepreneur self? And I think that's the biggest part is that you first have to just believe it. And then there's people like me in the world who help with the actual like tangible things like your social media, your resume, your website, your blog. Don't get bogged down with that. Read a self-help book. I'm looking right now. I have How to Be a Badass at Making Money and Feel Good Productivity. Those are two books that I go to almost every day. Just read like 2 pages from them. Get in the mindset of an entrepreneur. Redefine your identity as what you want it to be. And if you've never wanted to launch a side business, that's fine, but kind of reconnect on what gives you purpose. And I think that that's probably the main theme of life is if you don't have purpose, life is going to be a little bit dull and it's going to be hard to get out of bed in the morning. So, whether that's parenting or art or cooking or taking care of yourself, just find a purpose and kind of stick with that. I know it's like a little bit more of a holistic answer, but I truly think that that's where it starts is like the mindset that you have permission. If no one else gives you permission, Kristen and I give you permission to dream big and just to like manifest whatever you want because you can. Like we created this just the whole Divorce Allies membership out of conversations. So if we can do it, so can you and you can do it huge as well. So Kristen, kind of like going back to that, I want to ask you, I think it's hard because everyone's going to have a different cycle of what like their kind of like dark quiet time in between divorce and moving on, but how did you kind of get through your post divorce grief and sadness and loneliness until where you are today?
Okay, so let's be fully authentic and transparent. I have mentioned I was pregnant going through my divorce, so I still had to go through a whole pregnancy. Um, and I think my main focus during the initial stages was just getting through the pregnancy and the birth. I had an incredible home birth with my son. something we are incredibly resourceful as women, and that's my testimony in that alone is I had a traumatic first birth, and my second birth, the most empowering experience, believing that I could actually have a natural home birth at home with my second son alone, going through a divorce in a pandemic. And I could never, it was the thing I feared the most, after my first birth experience, almost losing my son.
Mm.
And then coming out of that, that's why I say the thing that scares you when you come out the other side of it, there is nothing that can ever compare to that feeling you get of empowerment. And um yeah, so I kind of lost my train of thought there a little bit thinking about it.
Well, it's part
But
of your story about just like your path on post-divorce grief to where you are now. But
yeah, so I started with being pregnant. Then I went, once my son was like, okay, I was like, I felt the sense of freedom. And I was out, not like maybe once every 2 weeks. That was still out a lot for a mom. But I was meeting new people, and I was putting myself out there, and I was going on dates, and I was dating, and I realized I was making these decisions that didn't feel right and in alignment. I, I still feel like I needed to go through that. But after that, I think I reached a slower phase, a slower pace. Maybe I would call it my shadow work, my darker phase, where I went very inwards. So everyone's journey is different. Some people go through that straight after, and then they go through the dating. I kind of tried the dating, realized I'm not ready through the
mhm,
mistakes and through the experience of it, and then I withdrew. And I think I maybe felt that pressure early on because my ex had moved on very quickly. Um, and I think that a lot of people watching this, there is that element. Oh my gosh, they've moved on already. I need to move on. Like what we worry what people are gonna say, whether we move on or not, or they got
mhm.
to move on first, or we worry. I know it's stupid, but we do. And I know you watching here, you're worrying what people are saying, what people are thinking, but we've got to try and let go of that and shake that off. So I went into my dark phase a little bit later after my freedom phase. And I don't really like to call it a dark phase. I would like to just actually say it was my introspective, slow down, really question my actions and whether they're in alignment with what I believe and what I want for my life, and envisioning. I very early on also wrote down what I want and how I see the best version of myself showing up. And it's funny looking back on that because I've reached that, and now my highest version is something else. And, so shoot for the stars, but remember that you might go even further than that. Maybe you don't reach that and you
Absolutely.
go on a different journey, but shoot for the stars. Shoot for them. Do it, because I look back at what I wanted. I wanted to be doing podcasts. I wanted to be a meditation teacher and a divorce coach. I wanted to be starting to write a book. What have we done this year? I'm doing all of that.
Everything. Check, 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 check.
Check, check, check. I'm doing that. And I didn't think it was possible. Um, so yeah, there's no right way of your journey, but I do think everyone should take a slow time. I
Mhm.
think you do need that lonely time. You do need to learn and be comfortable alone. You need to be comfortable with yourself, because 100%, if you are not, you are going to attract something that is not going to fulfill you, or is going to end up the same way your marriage did.
Yeah.
So for me, I only intend getting divorced once. So if I'm not dating, like I was like, I'll stop dating all in all completely to get to the place that I want to be, so that if the right thing comes, I will know it. I've done the healing. I won't make the same mistakes. I won't attract the same type of person. I have grown. I don't want that again. So if you're
Yeah.
watching this, you don't want the same thing, right? So it's in your best interest, and probably in your kids, if you've got kids, to slow down, have a dark, slow inner work phase where you are questioning yourself, where you are reflecting, where you are, don't rush. We don't need to be rushing to date again. In my opinion, I think if I look at myself and what my clients do, the ones that are rushing are avoiding the mirror. We're avoiding that mirror, and we need to learn how to be comfortable with ourselves and what emotionally availability means, right? Like, I
Yeah.
thought I was ready straight after divorce, and I got upset when I got rejected. And that's a whole new thing as well. Anna, you can talk about rejection. No one likes rejection, but I
Yeah.
experienced rejection, ghosting, catfishing, someone coming on too strong, similar patterns to exes. I
Yeah.
experienced it all because I hadn't done the work, so that I was attracting the same thing. I was attracting those same people. So was I actually emotionally available to them? No, I was attracting emotionally unavailable people because I was actually not emotionally available. I did not have the
Sure.
capacity for relationship as
Yeah.
much as I wanted to tell myself. And I only reached that in my slow phase. I only realized that about myself in my slow phase. When I slowed down, I realized, oh my gosh, I think part of me was looking for a relationship because he'd moved on.
Mm,
I think
totally.
part of me was looking for a relationship because I didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with me. He was the one that did XYZ. Um, but I did play a role.
Yeah.
And I did attract the same thing. I did attract the same types of men in my life. And I had to, they say the lesson will keep coming back in a different person until you learn the lesson.
Yep. Yep.
Love to know. Do you have some of these experiences in dating in 2025?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, now then add also the complexity of dating cross culturally, different languages, different norms. That just adds a whole nother layer of complexity. But it's also really eye opening because, well, I won't get down that rabbit hole, but I think my my one piece of advice to specifically Americans, if I'm just going to put it out there, maybe try people from different countries. We have a lot of ethnicity in the United States. You don't have to date like the same people, personalities, behavior wise, but just try something new. I think that's the beauty of this rebuild phase is that you can try new jobs, you can try dating different people, you can try a new haircut, whatever you want. It's all about rewriting. But absolutely, dating is complicated. Dating is, yeah, we did a whole podcast episode about like dating in the modern world. So we'll link that below. But there are new phrases that you have to learn, like what ghosting is, means that you might think that you're going to start dating this person and the next day they don't respond. And then you're in this mental spiral of, oh my God, is it because I put, two Y's after hey, or because I only replied in 5 minutes instead of two? Like, it is a little bit of mental abuse if you let it be.
I'm laughing so much because yes, if you were married if you were married, if the last time you dated was anywhere before social media, it's a learning curve. It's such a learning curve. It's not the same game. And I was also there. Did they not? Was it maybe because I said this, or it it was definitely because my nails weren't done. Probably. They probably like high maintenance girls. My nails weren't done, they liked high maintenance girls. Or oh no, I swore. Maybe they didn't like swearing or like whatever it is. But
Mhm,
it's torture.
mhm,
It can be
mhm.
torture.
It can be torture, and, like, all of these things can be torture, like, not knowing what you're gonna do the next day. Like, I think what Kristen and we see in our membership all the time is just, like, a lot of we see the ups and the downs. We see women so deep in it, not even being able to imagine what's on the other side, and then we see then when they're on the other side, they're like, "I'm actually able to live this life I've always wanted to live? But then, of course, there's like stumbling blocks along the way of like, well, no one told me that, dating was going to be hard, or no one told me that now I have to be worried about sending my location because everyone has a locator app. Like, it's just, I don't know. I'm just a long-winded way of saying we just find this topic very relevant, and it starts with your mindset of like, what do you want your identity to look like? What do you want your life to look like post-divorce? And we can have unlimited amount of conversations about this. But Cristin, I don't know if you want to add anything as we kind of wrap this up.
Yeah, I would probably say there's a nice little thing I tell myself is see dating as gathering information. I know
Yeah.
this is something Melissa says, everything is information.
Mhm.
But if you start seeing dating as everything is information, it also becomes a little bit easier. You're observing in the beginning. As a woman, you're observing. And this is my perspective, my opinion. But ladies, hold the power a little bit. Unless you're willing, like, unless you're just looking for a physical situation, be clear, this is just physical.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for more, hold back that physical, because as soon as us women become physical, we get emotionally connected and
Mhm.
clouded, and you stop seeing the red flags. You stop trusting your intuition because you're in this little bubble. So, if I could give one bit of advice, if you're wanting it just to be physical, cool beans, go for it, have fun.
Be safe.
But if that and be safe. Please be safe. There's a lot going around. But if you're not wanting to just fill that physical void or explore physically and you're wanting something more meaningful, I can tell you my biggest lesson in 2025 was to refrain from getting physical too soon.
Mm.
Because as a woman, our nature is to connect, to feel attached. We are maternal. That is within us. And as soon as we cross that, I've experienced it just in my life, but as soon as we cross that, you don't see things clearly anymore.
Mhm.
You don't, there's a little love bubble haze,
Yep.
soul tie that connect that, and then if they were never in it, there could be other feelings that you could surface. So, yeah, on the dating perspective, I would say go explore, know what you want from the situation, um, and don't give away your power.
Yeah. That's huge. I think so much of like this whole process of divorce and redefining and rebuilding is realizing the power never left. I think we just suppress it and we pretend
Yeah,
it's not there, but it's always there. And like, you came out of the divorce, so you can do anything now. You made it through 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years. The power is still right there. So you can do anything you put your mind to. We're women, we're powerful by nature. We have everything really on our side. We just get to now choose how we use it.
love that.
But I think, yeah, I think that this has been a very helpful almost 40 minutes. We're going to transition to kind of some like a question and answer phase. We collect some questions throughout the week and we just find this is a good opportunity to answer them. We'll link our other dating podcast below. So if you wanted to know more about dating in the modern world, please check that out. And Kristen
Safety.
and I have a few other fun topics, divorce, some about business, some about other just like dating stuff. So please check out our channel. We have tons of content. And if you're interested in the Divorce Allies membership, you can also visit our website through there. So, okay, let's, Kristen, transition to some like rapid fire question and answer that we've gotten. So, kind of along the topic of today's podcast episode, how long does it take to feel normal after divorce?
Healing is not linear. You'll feel normal when you stop needing the past to make sense.
Yeah.
Simple.
And when you start planning the future again, even small plans, small day trips, or even your next project. The future
Love
can kind
that.
of, you get to start to see it again. So, Cristin, again, on this topic, is it okay to start dating again right after divorce?
Yes, but as I mentioned earlier, check your intention. What is your intention around dating? Are you seeking connection or avoiding emptiness? Are you seeking physical contact or are you seeking a relationship? What is your
Mm.
intention behind dating? Is it for fun or for another marriage? And
Mhm.
go from there. Anna, how about you?
Yeah, I think a lot of times during this phase, it's about rediscovering your worth. But always, we always say, go slow, stay curious, and define and know your non negotiables.
Ooh, I like that.
So, we get a lot of members ask us, how do I rebuild confidence after divorce?
By starting to keep your promises to yourself, small wins, doing small things that scare you and achieving them. But you build confidence in yourself when you trust yourself. So if you set a goal, stick to it.
Yes.
Stick to your
And
promises to yourself.
my number one advice is always get out of your comfort zone. Travel solo, try a new class, try a new museum, try a new recipe at home. Anything new, get out of your comfort zone because confidence is built in motion. It's not when you're sitting on your couch or sitting at your kitchen table.
Yeah.
So, if we transition a little bit to parenting, Cristin, what is the best way to co parent peacefully?
This is always dependent on your situation, of course, but structure
Mhm.
and boundaries, communication apps, a written, detailed parenting plan, and neutrality. Neutral tones, keeping the emotion out of it and treating it like a business, maybe.
Mhm. Absolutely. That's what we always say is remember that post-divorce, it's a business partnership, not an emotional relationship.
Yeah.
Oof, this is a hard one. I think as women, we can all ask this about, will I ever fall in love again post-divorce?
When you become the version of yourself you always needed, love will meet you there. And I always believe, I say this to myself all the time, what is for me will not pass me. I do not need to go searching. It will find me when I'm my best version.
Mm. You can say that one again. Yeah, and I always think, I have to remind myself is that we are not in control. We are not the universe. We are not God, and we can't outgive the universe. It always brings love when we're ready to receive it. And I think as women, we're always like, yeah, but I'm ready now. I'm ready. I promise I'm ready. But when you're really ready, that's when love's going to find you. Or maybe when you're not ready, subconsciously or consciously not ready, subconsciously ready. It's like a weird thing of every time I'm like, "No, I'm fine." That's when love finds me.
My mom always says to me, it's when you stop looking. Because I recently said, I'm out. I'm so out. I'm done. I am like just business kids. Business kids is my life right now. She's like, watch someone come along now. I was like, don't jinx me like that. Because now I actually don't want it.
We'll see. This is time date stamped October 15th, 2025. We'll see. Um,
Oh.
this is also a big question, and I think a lot of people are relating to this right now is how do I stop comparing my post-divorce life to my ex's?
Oh. Yeah, I sat with this for a while, guys, and
Mhm.
a lot of frustration, a lot of resentment and anger. But anchor in your lane. Stay in your lane. If you are still watching what your ex is doing on social media and wherever, or asking friends where they're at if they're dating, stop. Stay in your lane. Comparison is a trauma response to the loss of control you are feeling.
Mm. Yeah, that's a tough truth to hear. And remember, everyone is always going to post and talk about the best things that are happening, specifically in social media world. So, our advice, stay off of social media, block your ex, block their new girlfriend, block their friends, whatever it takes. Remember, you're building the real thing, and that's the only thing you should be worried about. Okay, Cristin, last
Amazing. I
question
love
to
that
kind of
one.
wrap up today's topic. What's the hardest part about starting over?
So true. But facing yourself, looking in the mirror, and realizing the only person that can rebuild your life is you. No one else is going to save you. No one else is going to do it for you. You have to look in the mirror and say, "Oh, yo, Cristin, you better pull up your socks and get your stuff together." So,
Mhm.
yeah.
And I'll follow up of not caring or worrying about what traditional things have told you to do. If you're 35, 45, 55 starting over, who cares? Again, it's your life. Truly no one else matters. And you have the permission to build whatever you want right now. So we'll leave it with that. Cristin, it is always such an honor and joy to record these with you. Thank you so much. All of our contact information will be below. Reach out for any questions you have. And if you have additional questions like the ones that you just heard, put them in the comments, send us an email. We'll be happy to answer them next podcast. Cristin,
Thank you so
see you
much,
later.
Hannah. That's lovely.